they found evidence that Iran has been lying to them about how much nuclear uranium that they have enriched and to what extent it was and for how long they have been doing it under the rules of the auspices that they were playing by a particular set of rules that were set out by this institution. They found out that they had uranium that was enriched past 60%. They found out that what they had enriched was at 60%. And going from apparently 0 to 60 takes a very long time, but going from 60 to 90, which is weapons grade material, takes a shorter amount of time. Like the first 60% takes years, where the second 60%, or the second 30% takes a matter of weeks or months. And they had enough material to possibly make 9 nuclear bombs. Now, what Iran was saying was that they needed the material for medical research purposes. And we also have to remember that Iran has one of the largest oil reserves in the world, so they don't necessarily need that much power, nuclear power, because they have so much oil that it's basically free for them. So they put out a drastic warning. I saw this on Al Jazeera itself. Al Jazeera was talking about, or discussing the matter of the fact that many of the other Middle Eastern countries, other Muslim countries, were concerned because they have threatened Saudi Arabia. And then before that, Iran directly threatened U.S. military bases in the Middle East. This is why Trump told all of the Middle East, all of the bases in the Middle East, basically to send all of their non-essential employees home back to the United States, because they were preparing for a possible attack. Iran is also, their leader also has theology that's basically sort of suicidal, right? It takes like the most extreme version of his version of Islam, and he basically believes that there has to be a world or global war in order for their Messiah to come. So a lot of these things are very messianic, and a lot of very religious politics are played into the global politics, and this is why these things are sort of happening now. And that's also the difference between North Korea. North Korea isn't sort of homicidal or suicidal in that manner. They may be a dictatorial force, but they don't live by ideology that basically says if we blow ourselves up and become the Shahid, which means the martyrs of the world, that we will get something in the world to come.
Ron, I actually agree with some of what you said. The idea that I think Iran likely has the amount of uranium enriched to have a nuclear weapon. I don't know if they have the ability to deliver it, but they have they would, because they've got a missile program. I don't know if they have the ability to hit us, the United States, but they probably have the ability to hit Israel. I actually do believe that. I mean, they've been close to having a nuclear weapon since the 1995.
I'm sorry, trying to interrupt you, but where is the actual evidence that they have delivered?
Sweetheart, there is none. But the thing, there was no evidence that Pakistan had one. There was no evidence for a long time.
No, we knew Pakistan had. They were secretly doing, but we knew it because they had to do tests. We knew that when they did tests, we knew when they were championships. So what's going on?
So just there was for a long time we heard this about North Korea.
We knew North Korea was developing too.
We knew that
we seen them when they tested.
I'm in complete agreement with you on that. The thing is, Iran's not a dumb country. They're not a backward. In some cases, a lot of ways, they're definitely ahead of Pakistan. And they're on par.
Trent, I'm sorry, but you understand how the tracking happens, right? If if somebody actually, like,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have a way. United States knows every single time there is a nuclear change in any nuclear station, facility, or if there's a nuclear bomb that's been tested.
If you'll just allow me to finish, we actually didn't know. North Korea had a nuclear weapon 5 years before we publicly acknowledged.
That's not true. We knew. We knew when they were developing. We knew when they So the thing is, this is crazy. So we knew when they tested.
No, I'm in agreement with you on that.
So what are you talking about? That they were 5 years and we didn't know.
There was consternation in the 2000s. I don't remember the exact time frame whether or not they actually had it. We didn't acknowledge it until they actually tested it. Here's what I'm saying. Nuclear weapons are 80-year-old technology. Okay, so the idea that countries as advanced as Iran is, I mean, when Russia is asking for Iran's help with drone technology, and Russia has massive amount of nuclear weapons, and China, it does stand to the reason that there could have been a trade. I'm not saying that definitely happened, but we aren't talking about technology that is brand new. And so I give a possibility, I give very good credence to the possibility that Iran does have nuclear weapons, which is why I think that this is at the level of the Cuban Missile Crisis, or if you want to go with Mike Huckabee, with Truman, this is a very, very serious decision. There are 17 million people in the metro area of Tehran, and if you hit that Fordo plant, to Katrina's point, it is going to cause fallout, and you're going to have a refugee disaster in the area with people pouring in across the U.S. I don't know what the right decision is, but I know that we're at the moment of a huge decision.
So,
what do we do with the dumb thing in the chat about America not being allied with Japan and South Korea? We have mutual defense agreements with both of those countries, so I don't know why.
Yeah, that was stupid. The one that is our ally. They are our ally.
I just wanted to respond, Trent, sweetheart. Listen to me. Those are, again, and I would like you, I guess, just make it clear when you talk to public, right? Because some people might listen to you, right? And if you don't make it clear that it is your assumption and it is your fantasy, right? I think that is a very big difference than saying the possibility of them. They definitely have, nuclear weapons. Just because Russia definitely is could be helping them. But again, right now, there's absolutely no evidence of them actually having a nuclear weapon and testing a one like North Korea did. Okay? So this is insane. I don't understand why people are like, you take your own presumable fantasies and make it sound like it's a fact. It's not. And the United States will know if Iran actually had a nuke, like if they had a weapon. They would know that. Come on. We're not stupid. And if Russia actually, and your take on the fact that Russia just gave them one, you don't think the United States will know that as well?
No.
No? Do you think
even if Russia gave them one, it's still going to be controlled by Russia, right? Because you can't just launch a nuclear weapon. You do know that, right?
No, I think they could pass the nuclear weapon if they want.
You can't just launch it. No, it doesn't work like that.
I think the report.
I said that Russia could have, for the help and assistance in drone, Russia could have passed enriched uranium or a nuclear warhead to Iran. It is very possible.
So I put in the chat an article. Actually, I put it in the report from the IAEA, which is a 20-something page report detailing their findings on Iran and why the warning was put out. And then I put an article about Iran's underground missile city, this underground factory.
Okay, so what does the report say? Go ahead and brief us.
The briefing says that they have tested certain areas where uranium was.
No, that's I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, they tested because they do their inspections, and there was what is it called, residue. So outside of that, what exactly is this report supposed to be telling us?
That there was residue.
No, that's telling you that they have a weapon.
Are you allowing me to finish? Okay. Yeah. So while they are not saying that they have a weapon, they are saying that that Iran is doing some shady shit with uranium, and they don't know exactly what they're doing, and they don't want them to have a weapon. That's what they're saying, right?
Okay.
And it's not that you want. It's not that you want. It's not that you want to end the fight. You want to prevent them from having a weapon. You don't want to wait for them to get to the point where they have a weapon, or at least fissionable material or enriched material that they can attach to a missile and then deploy it, right? You don't want to wait till they get.
So it doesn't attach to a missile like that. So check this out. So we've heard about those little reports, right? And they are big. It's a big thing. But the thing is, we pulled out of an agreement where they got rid of centrifuge. They reduced their uranium levels to 3.57%, something like that. We have to Google it real quick. So all this happened under the Obama administration. So you're going to tell a country that when we said fuck you, and now we're putting sanctions back on you, and we're going to take your money to not do something. So guess what they decided? They decided that they were going to continue their uranium enrichment program because the United States didn't fall. The U.S. said fuck you, put sanctions back on them. This is a fucking country where their leadership is like this. I think it was stupid. It was a stupid decision, and now they're willing to go back to the JCPOA levels of 2015. If they're willing to do it, why not?
Yeah, but I don't understand what the point is. There are two different issues.
No, the point is for them to not have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we had a program, but Ron, we had a way to control, right? To make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon.
No, I agree.
And that was Obama signed it in 2015, right? And we had full access. Hold on. In 2015, and we had full access, right? And I actually went back and read today on purpose, and I posted a link in the chat. I can repost it from the .gov, right, website, that actually they were following all the rules. They were following all the rules. That's why some money was unfrozen. That's why partially, little by little, some sanctions were lifted because they were actually following the rules. And the inspectors came in. They had access to everything that they were supposed to have. So we as the United States make a deal with the country, right? And we say, hey, you can have a nuclear power station. We just want to make sure and check it and give us access and blah, blah, blah. And if you follow certain rules, when we lift economic sanctions, they do it. They comply, right, with the agreement. And then in 2018, Trump just goes, no, we're pulling out. And because the United States pulled out, other countries also pulled out, right? So now you have no agreement. So to say that, hey, they are not supposed to develop and enrich and everything else, we don't have an agreement with them. How can we even sit there and say legally on paper that they're not allowed to do something like that because they said they're not going to do it? We walked out. We are the one who broke the agreement. And of course, now there isn't really like no rails on that, no rules and strict, and then we're sitting here and saying, well, we need to make sure they don't.
He was trying to do, but she has been hyped on this app so much that
just kind of limits, right? Because even too much soda, you'll get kidney stones and you'll freaking die off of that. So yeah, don't drink Red Bull.
Ian, do you drink at all?
No, I don't drink. I don't touch the stuff. Barely. It's like I'm a social drinker.
What's your favorite cocktail though?
I would say a pina colada or mojito. Yeah.
Pina colada.
Pina colada. Yeah,
So
next time, try a tequila sunrise on me, bro. It's just OJ.
I'll try some. Yeah.
So Ian, when you say that the Jews killed JFK, were you drinking, or do you really believe that shit?
I didn't say that. When did I ever say that?
In an Adrian Dittman, aka Elon Musk space, where you're like, the Jews killed JFK.
That was a reference to what people would say. I don't.
Oh, it's a reference to what other people say. Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
you don't drink pina coladas.
I don't think the Jews.
I do love your content, though.
People are expecting it. I mean, they released JFK files, and I was looking through the files, and there's a mention of some Jewish guy, but it has nothing to do with JFK. Yeah.
Oh, God. So the Jews didn't kill JFK. Okay. So who did kill JFK? Was it the Pentagon, the CIA? Was it Lyndon Johnson? Who did it?
Honestly, probably the Cubans. Yeah.
You think the Cubans killed? You think the Cubans assassinated JFK in Dallas?
I think so. Yeah. I think they hired that one guy, or at least they didn't hire him. I mean, he seemed to be lost, right? What's his name? Lee Harvey Oswald, right? He was trying to reach out to the Russian embassy. He was trying to reach out to KGB contacts that he knew because he lived in Russia for I think 2 years. His wife is Russian, and he tried to get them to green light an assassination of some sort. I think on JFK, and they just said no, we don't want that, right? So he was shopping around, and I think he might have finally got buyers in Cuba.
Are you saying Lee Harvey Oswald? That guy's a patsy. He's a fucking loser. He didn't pull the fucking trigger that did the shot.
Loser, but so are all these guys. Every single one of these fucking guys, just like the dude who took a shot at Trump and missed, right? He was a loser too. And I don't think anybody put him up to it. I think these guys are just very politically engaged and perhaps too obsessed, like the one dude in Minnesota.
Well, how would they know? They cremate the body. They sanitize everything. There's no investigation, no transparency. It's a cover-up.
Honestly, that is very stupid of them, and they shouldn't do that. Yeah.
They do it because it's so embarrassing to the United States government and our leaders and these Democrat, communist, neo-Marxist, socialist terrorists that they don't even want to embarrass the country because our leadership is so embarrassing.
That's true. It is embarrassing. So I don't want to come in here and sound like an absolute retard. We just saw a Boeing 787 crash in India, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. And you see the aircraft in the building. And now, granted, of course, the 9/11 attacks were carried out at much higher rate of speed, but you saw a massive fireball in the 787 Indian air disaster, and yet the building stood. And then just a few days later, just a few days ago, we saw buildings in Dubai that were on fire. There was one building, yeah, it was Marina Plaza. No, I think it's more than one, actually. No, it's one. It was just one. There's just one. There's a big fire. They put it out in, I think, 16 hours. Yeah. Yeah, but the photographs, show, quite a large number of floors destroyed by the fire. Yeah. And so we look at this as thinking humans, right? Not engineers necessarily.
Absolutely, it was formed as an organization. But the political stuff down here with my groups, we are making success worming out some of the folks who want to cause trouble and be assholes and, just generally not do things. I had a productive discussion with somebody in my club who was complaining about the protests, and I was like, well, there are more American flags than Mexican ones, and he, something's still wrong. I'm like, okay, well, you need to just admit you don't like their protests, which is fine. You give us right to that point of view, but don't tell me that you don't like their protests because it doesn't have enough American flags, and then when I tell you it's got more American flags, it's got Mexican flags, say, no, I still don't like what they have to say. Like, no, it was never about the flags. You just don't want them to protest. Again, fine. This person's entitled to a point of view, but I consider it little victories when those people don't go unopposed in their thinking.
Yeah, look, that's one of the challenges the Democrats have is that you've got all these splinter groups that actually, most of them actually are not part of the Democratic Party. They're to the left of the Democratic Party, and they have their specific interests. And they're not thinking in terms of the broad picture. and it creates confusion. So that does make sense.
Well, I don't know about that. I think I might push back.
Tell me.
I think I might push back on that take a little bit because I think that, somebody said that about Martin Luther King. So I think there is something about a minority opinion having to juxtapose against when they're outnumbered. Just because you're outnumbered doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean that your idea is irrelevant, and that you shouldn't just subsume kind of what you want to what the masses want, even if the masses are the Democratic Party. So I just have to push back on that a little bit. Like it's not like we don't get points for being in lockstep if lockstep isn't what needs to happen, right? So I just kind of want to make a case for the small splinter group.
Yeah, no. First of all, I am totally open to that. I am not perfect, and actually, I could easily change my mind as well. But the point I was trying to make was that even when you talk about the DSA, the Democratic Socialists, the majority of them have never been Democrats. They have never been part of that Democratic Party. And I'm just making the distinction of the Democratic Party versus the left, which is, those are two separate things. And we just need to be cognizant of that. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one of the things that is really tricky about our current reality is that we kind of nobilize homogeneity because homogeneity wins. Right, like this idea of, and I don't have an answer. I'm not saying like we need to do X or we need to do Y, Z. But the reality is that when you contrast the Democratic Party with the Republican Party, right? Like it's one group does represent more diverse groups. That is the reality of it. And so like I think we use a lot of language of like we need to be more like the right. We need to be more organized. We need to have more consistency. And that's not historical, right? In terms of what changes things, what moves the needle forward, moves the ball forward. Let me find a terrible metaphor. It's more complex than that. Yes, you might win because you have the numbers, right? And because you're able to corral the numbers. But when I look at my gerrymandered state of Texas, I don't feel like that's winning. I feel like they compromised democracy in order to put forth one small group's like vision of the world. That doesn't mean that groups that are smaller.
Posted that up. I thought, okay, it's pretty cool. Let's just go with it. So I launched it. People accusing me of rugging it. I didn't own a single cent in it. No supply. It was like before I could even post the CA, a bunch of people found it because I guess they were looking for this coin. It hadn't launched yet. No one else had launched one. It went up to like I think 200K, and then it went down, and so it's just sitting there. The supply is really cheap right now. I think the market cap is at 10K, but it's got a really deep liquidity pool because it got it graduated to Meteora, which is amazing. It's better than any pump fund coin. Pump fund coins have very limited liquidity, so if you're trading in high volume, you're fucked. Right? I've done this so many times, twice, where I would have so much of the supply and I try to sell it because I bought it high. And I'd spend, like fucking $4,000 one night, and sold it at a loss, despite being, up in profit. The liquidity basically fucked me, right? Because of the curve, right? There's the bonding curve, and if there's not enough liquidity, you're fucked, right? If you try to sell, it's just not going to work out for you, and that has hit me. Now that won't happen on this coin, right? Because the LP is super high. It's I think 100K, and so it's I think it graduated at that much anyway. So the LP is pretty high, and it's ready for CTO, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to relaunch it. Yeah.
Well, Ian, just to give you the updated numbers, the liquidity is sitting at 21K, and the market cap is at 11K.
That's pretty good.
That's a ratio of freaking a lot, 200% versus your average market cap. 10K market cap token would only have around $2,000 worth of liquidity, so that's about a 10x average. you know, when you would normally want to be at the beginning stages of a token, because this is the beginning as it was completely zeroed out.
Correct, yeah. I own $3 in it right now. So I just want to launch it.
These, right? And that's the benefit to the devs. Devs don't have to be rogues and have a bunch of supply and then just cheat no matter what. You
not interested in cheating this
it's great.
at all. Yeah, like I get enough from the trading, the volume, right? The fees, because Launchcoin is a pretty lucrative. Like they give you 50% of the fees compared to like Pump Fund, which I think keeps most of it. I've launched, like coins and Pump Fund, just for fun. Again, never really pushed it. One went to like I think $1 million. I only got like nothing out of it. I got like fucking 1%, some bullshit. It's garbage. So not interested in rugging this. I own no supply. So I just want to help boost it, and I like the value that it espouses. No gods, no kings. I think that's the world we're going to live in. Let's do it. Let's pump this, because the whole idea of a god and a king nowadays is not really literally a king or a god. It's going to be bureaucracy, right? So we want to end bureaucracy, and I think this is a pretty good message. It's pretty solid. It's got a great foundation here. So
that's pretty dope. It'll have your never-ending support as long as there ends up being a community built behind it. So that's kind of where we've always focused on, is that type of opportunity is something, right, that is a KOL-like deal with someone like yourself would normally cost X, right? So like now the community has that as an absolute standard. So that's where I suggested someone that's been around our circle for quite a while now and is connected to many of our friends. So, I was like, young dude, he's got time in Web3, see what community, they can build and curate. And same thing, we're going to be that extending arm from the crypto side of things. So always help him, as he's building, and he has that influencer side from your neck of the woods, pushing and willing to help as well. So I pinned the community up at the top if you're interested.
What makes it a godless, a coin though?
Well, it's that it doesn't have. We don't believe in bureaucracy. That's why the god is dead, right? And humans run everything, and just like CTO, I think it's a perfect narrative.
But philosophically.
Yeah, philosophically, that's what it is. Yeah, it's a libertarian coin at its heart. It's an Andrew Ryan quote from BioShock, and the guy is a libertarian. He built a city under the ocean. I think that's how Elon sees himself.
So when you look at the U.S. dollar, do you think it's godless or full of God? It says in God we trust.
God, in God we trust, right? In God we trust. And what is the God there? That's a question, right? That's I'm not super.
Well, it says trust God. I'm just saying, if a currency isn't based off of God, it's not going to stand its test. It's essentially a worthless currency.
Gold is pretty godless. Gold is the purest form of currency.
No, you could say You could say gold is pure God because it's pure.
Well, this is pure capitalism. How about that? God as a concept is dead.
So what do you think about MBS in Saudi Arabia? That kingdom isn't going to fall. All these Arab monarchs, they exchange dollars and everything. They're godless.
You mean they're full of God or godless?
I'm being a hypocrite, but I don't like monarchies. I'm an American. I don't think there should be kings and queens. That is the bureaucracy. But in America, we have this Democrat industrial complex bureaucracy.
They're God right now. If you look at the left, they're God, right? They're playing God with your children, with transgenderism, with all this gender studies nonsense. They are playing God, literally telling us, to go against our biological instincts. There's only a man and a woman, and they're saying, oh no, we have decided that we are playing God now. I think people shouldn't be doing that. So,
it's true.
I think it's a rejection. So this coin stands as a rejection of that, a rejection of their God, because their God is leftism.
Well, then my Republican bank wants to invest $1 million into this incredible new currency, which stands against the leftards and the liberal psychopaths in our society.
It's based as fuck. Yeah, it's based as fuck, and it's all the pure market. I think that is the purest form of capitalism, the pure, the free market, and that's what this is. Yeah, God is dead is literally a free market statement.
Well, also, and this is really backed by whatever community gets built. I pinned the community at the top. There are 3 3 members right now, actually, because I just joined it. 4 members now, good stuff. But C is your CTO leader. He is putting together a hit squad of community managers and members that are going to, be part of a movement. Any movement is real if there's people that show up. And it's really hard to imagine that this country is still based, in God. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ, not a denomination. And this country couldn't be any further away from God, the way I see it. If we can go back to its truest and its most natural form of true love, that we all really want what's best for everyone and not just certain people, well, we can really create our own world, and you can do that in any token. That's what crypto really does. People band together. Because of crypto, Ian and I have became friends. We wouldn't have met outside of that, but here we are, right? So that same type of value that is truly backed by the most valuable asset in the world, the human soul, cannot be replaced, cannot be scientifically created. Sadly, you can buy a lot of human souls, right? Because most people will sell their soul for peanuts. We do it for people that are really part of the same movement. So join the movement. If you want to build something special, it really just becomes how many more members can join and be part of the same mission.
Yep. And if anyone's wondering, what am I going to do with the money that I get from the fees, right? Well, I want to keep building up the community. I want to give back to it, and also I want to build a gaming channel on X, so this helps. I think we need that. We need proper journalism, and I want to bring it.
And 12K market cap. If you ever said you had a shot at something early, oh my goodness, if you're going to complain at this point, now go work for your frickin' stupid bags. If all y'all do it, just like Rocktimus did, you're going to hold strong. We built a strong-ass community with Rocktimus. Check us out as well. And shout out to Ian being part of that movement as well. So I will tell you, when Ian is telling you wholeheartedly, he will help you. He means it. He will be there for the community. I can stamp on that. Like I told Ian, I don't give a damn about people launching tokens, doing this, doing that. That's what everybody's doing. Our president launched a rug. You know what I'm saying? Where you don't show his token. That's the definition of a rug. Launch the token, does nothing for it. Okay. Ian's already doing 10x that because that MF or LE shows up. So I will say, as the Groctimus CTO leader, Ian, I super thank you. Just for that, being what you said you would, which is, I'll be part of the movement. So thank you.
Wow. Fantastic stuff. Listen, chaps, I want to just really say very briefly, it has been really a tremendous pleasure to participate in this conversation. Prior to this, I was in a group with Lord Miles. For those of you who know, another great person. This is part of what our dear friend Elon Musk, my fellow countryman, has enabled us to do, is to engage with people from very vastly disparate social positions. I mean, this is really quite wonderful and a great pleasure to talk to chaps like you, the two of you, and this is my greeting. I say thank you.
Education, universal healthcare, which means that there is less stress of those things. And
there is a commonality for sure. And I know Steve Crone was doing his Google and mentioned that according to Google, the Nordic countries are Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden.
Yeah.
So Scandinavia, that's the more general. So Nordic is the operative term. And that also, what happened with our dinner was we didn't realize this, but Sweden had already closed their embassy, or they're in the process of closing the embassy here in Burkina Faso. And now Denmark is the same. So he's going to be, for now, the last ambassador to Burkina Faso. They're going to leave. Well, what they're doing is the Nordic countries have made a decision to work cooperatively together. So what's happening is he's moving to Senegal, which is a more important position, and so Sweden is there, but so all 5 of the countries are there, and they're sharing resources, and they're also expanding their influence, and they will be able to cover Burkina Faso, but they're doing it from Senegal.
Yes, that's because the economy is tight and we have to invest 10% of GDP to military defense, and it's going to be huge investment for all of each countries, and therefore I think
they have to do it efficiently.
Yes, those things. But that's so good that you spend with Nordic people your dinner time. I'm happy
with it. It's like our best friends were and we love it. Well, this is actually isn't Nordic, but we love the Dutch woman as well. She's great. No, we've had such a great time here. We've been here almost 5 years. It'll be, we're leaving here in September, but it's sort of sad because we're sort of closing up shop, and everybody, and we're not the only ones leaving. There are about 2 or 3 other of our friends that are leaving at the same time. So it's sort of bittersweet, and
what are your plans afterwards, if I can ask?
Alan got a new position at the Brazilian mission in New York City, where she is she's basically the chief of staff for the deputy foreign minister.
Oh, that sounds great, New York.
Yeah, it's an interesting position because it's different than what she's used to doing is running a consulate, but now she's essentially going to be in charge of all 190 embassies and consulates all over the world. She's the operational and logistical head of all of that.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
You could be so proud of smoking your cigar on the top of the roof in New York instead of the pool where you are at the moment. It's going to be, you're going to enjoy, it's a different life, but, there's a lot of culture, a lot of movements, and also politics, and Andrea is there. You can meet Andrea.
Oh, yeah, I'm very aware of Andrea and Scotty, my good friends in New York City.
Scotty, yes.
Helping me get settled, helping us. It's interesting because, first of all, you would think that, we would be in Brasilia. But the fact is, the Brazilian government actually transacts everything in U.S. dollars. And because her position is logistics, she needs to be near the banks of the United States. So that's the reason why the position is based in New York City. And look, we don't have our staff of 7 full-time people, and we lost.
You can do your own breakfast.
I'm gonna have to clean the kitty litter myself.
Yes.
So that's the downside.
That's good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and I may have to do some cooking, but it's true. At first it was I did not want to come back to the United States, run under Donald Trump. I had told her originally, I said, "There's no way I'm going to want to go back to the United States," but since she was offered this position in the way that it was offered, and also, frankly, they gave her a large amount of money to look for apartments. So we're going to get, it's like being able to live in New York and not worry, about where you're going to live.
Exactly. And the real activist has to be there where the happening is going on, not outside of own country. So you do the best when you are in USA. You can influence much more there than outside. It's going to be fantastic, I'm sure.
And we will have an extra guest bedroom for anybody who wants to visit us in New York.
Perfect. Because if we just, I don't know, I have to clean my social media accounts first. Joking. People coming to USA because otherwise they can just.
Well, it is a concern.
It is. I mean, even Clubhouse, we don't know who is listening this. I mean, I'm normally not paranoid at all, but I just have some researchers. I think a couple of researchers are not getting visa to USA because they use the readers word DIA or feminism or activism. So you know, so they are cancelled. They visas are cancelled in top universities, and you know this is extremely worrying everybody.
It's true.
Using activist word of feminism. Not even together, but one.
Yeah. I totally understand. You're absolutely. Thank you, Tina. It's so good to see you.
Yes. Hey, next week my dogs are going to holiday together. 3 of them. They have a holiday here.
And Stalin killing people and sending them to Siberia and literally having a genocide within his own people, right? That he is a better option, and we should back him and give him everything so that they can industrialize.
Katrina, I hate to break it to you, but on D-Day from the United States, they knew how many casualties was going to happen. War is a meat grinder. Let's just stop using that type of word. You know.
No,
and secondly, Russia, before we even entered the war, Russia was fighting Hitler in Germany. They had a major defeat. They had a major famous defeat in the region around Ukraine, which is Soviet Union at the time.
Okay,
there was about over 20 million deaths from Russia. We came in at the end. Ma'am, listen.
We did not come in at the end. What happened?
The final push.
History really well. Please don't spread.
Okay,
but
spreading
Russian propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
Not Russian propaganda. This is American history.
Ma'am, you so triggered.
No, it's not.
Katrina, both my grandfathers was actually there, boots on the ground. Like, I'm not just saying I'm gonna say it. Look it up. Who did the final push into the Russian city? Who did the final push into the final city?
What happened? Fine, I will look that up. I'm not
okay, we just want to have a
What happened on September 1st? First of all, what happened September 1st, 1939, and then September 17th, 1939.
It's unrefutable.
They invaded Poland, man. We know they invaded Poland on September 1st. But we don't need to. We're not talking about World War II. And I get that. Germany did. Germany did. Both Germany and Russia did actually. But and they split it up. They split it up. And we get that. But we're not here to debate World War II.
You know, they had a military parade in Poland.
Katrina, I sympathize with you and Ukrainians, Slava Ukrainian. I got plenty of Ukrainian friends.
To do with Ukraine, I'm talking about a twisted history that you Americans think about Russia. The Soviet Union.
But you got to read beyond what you got to keep educating yourself. Just because you read in one book, keep reading more about this issue.
I read it in a lot of European books. Believe it or not.
Okay, maybe you're just biased and have an angle. I don't know. I think that's what.
Biased. Hold on. You look at the numbers of how many own civilian people Stalin killed. Do you know what is more than World War II put together? Old people.
Ma'am, you stated that the reason why Russians have a higher death count because they just threw themselves at the stake, and this is a meat grinder. That's an idiotic type of viewpoint. That's an idiotic viewpoint.
What's idiotic about it?
Because how are you supposed to defeat an enemy? At that time, we didn't have these type of weapons that we have now, drones. We had to put boots on the ground, and you had to fight.
Okay, you don't know the history, Nathan, because if you actually go and look what U.S. soldiers were actually dealing with on islands of Japan in World War II, you will see that Japan was using exactly the same method. It was cannon fodder. Germans themselves, Nazis themselves were saying that Russians were just keep coming, and they were running out of, they were literally running out of ammo.
It's actually a German blitzkrieg tactic to force. It's a blitzkrieg. That's actually a German type of war tactic, which was highly effective to use bodies. You know, I mean,
makes sense.
That's not what blitzkrieg is, though.
Again, like this is never mind.
The same thing is happening.
Nathan, listen. The United States has
just never mind.
Made a mistake.
Hey, Katrina, the same thing is happening now in Russia and Ukraine. So you're right. There's 5 times more Russians dead. What do you call that if not a meat grinder?
What is going on? Can we come to the Israel and Iran? Because I wasn't, like my student told me one time, I wasn't born in 1939. So can we move forward? Thank you. Because this is
if you walk on directed traffic, how you?
Yeah, I'm trying, First Lady, to get it back. I said to Israel and Iran.
Right, but you gonna lead the conversation?
I'm sorry.
I said, are you leading the
Oh
conversation?
no, I'm not. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Continue. Y'all stopped in 1941, so you can pick up.
No, but they bring it up. That's why I said I don't know why they keep bringing up the 1940s and all this extra stuff.
Can I mention something?
That was coming up. Want to keep bringing it up too.